This is Algorithm Audit Field Notes, a live research series documenting what actually happens when professionals audit their digital environments for 7 days. I am Saurabh Sarma. This is Field Note 4. In Field Note 1, we name the phantom effect, the habit of reaching for a device that isn't calling you. In Field Note 2, we map the attention leak, the gap between why you picked up the phone. In Field Note 3, we identified digital identity lag, the gap between who you are trying to become and who the algorithm still believes you are. Today, we go somewhere more specific. This one is for those of us building a future in one country while part of our mind remains anchored to another. This is the Diaspora Attention Gap. Over the years, I have shared houses with dozens of Nepali students and young professionals living abroad. Different ages, different ambitions, different professions, different reasons for leaving Nepal. Yet one pattern appeared again and again in the small pockets of free time. Between studying, working, cooking, and sending money home, the phone came out. And what filled the screen was remarkably consistent. Home. Not home in the sense of speaking with family or preserving cultural traditions. Home as the daily stream of political arguments, blame cycles, viral personalities, breaking controversies, and the outrage of the week. Content that felt familiar because it came from Nepal. Content that often had very little connection to the lives those individuals were actively building abroad. I noticed it in shared living rooms. I noticed it during long train journeys. I noticed it at diaspora gatherings, rooms full of accomplished professionals spending much of the evening discussing the latest political controversy or viral story from back home. I participated in those conversations too, sometimes passionately. In time, some political developments unfolded much as I had expected. But that is not the point. The point is where our attention was going and what that allocation of attention was costing us. The diaspora possesses something unusually valuable: skills, capital, professional experience, international networks, exposure to different systems. Nepal possesses something equally significant: urgent problems, untapped opportunities, communities that could benefit from exactly those resources. In theory, these two should connect naturally. In practice, something else is consuming the mental space between them. Social media algorithms are designed to maximize engagement, not long-term contribution. For diaspora communities, engagement most often comes from emotionally charged content about home, political conflict, controversy, scandal, outrage, viral figures of the week. The algorithm does not intentionally create a divide, but by optimizing for engagement, it may widen one. Instead of helping diaspora professionals understand where Nepal needs skills, investment, or practical collaboration, it repeatedly presents content that encourages reaction rather than contribution. Because outrage is easier to consume than a blueprint. This is what I am calling the diaspora attention gap. Not the distance between where someone lives and where they came from. The gap between where cognitive capital is being spent and where a future is actually being built. Your career is developing where you are now. Your professional network is there. Your daily opportunities are there. Perhaps your children's future is there too. Yet a meaningful share of your attention remains anchored elsewhere, following events you cannot meaningfully influence in real time from wherever you are abroad. That split carries an opportunity cost. Every hour spent reacting to another political controversy or viral story is an hour not spent strengthening professional skills, expanding networks, or developing ideas that might one day benefit Nepal itself. The cost is rarely visible in a single day. It compounds quietly across years. I have often wondered whether some exceptionally capable people might have reached even greater professional heights had more of their cognitive capital been invested in the environments where they were building their lives. I cannot establish that relationship, but the recurring pattern stayed with me. And at the collective level, the question becomes even larger. The diaspora's combined cognitive capital, its skills, networks, international perspective, and professional experience could be one of Nepal's most powerful development resources. Yet a significant portion of that collective attention may be consumed by content that produces little practical value. If this pattern exists at scale, it is not merely a personal productivity problem. It may also represent a national development challenge. Now, here is where it gets more complicated. The conclusion is not to disconnect from Nepal. I believe the opposite. I have also observed members of the second generation diaspora, those born abroad or raised outside Nepal since childhood, with very low connection to their cultural roots. That carries a different cost. In increasingly international and multicultural professional environments, people who understand where they come from often communicate with greater confidence and authenticity. Cultural literacy is not merely sentimental, it is a professional advantage. The young Nepali diaspora occupies a uniquely valuable position. International education, global exposure, digital fluency, Nepali heritage, used consciously, that combination has enormous potential not only for personal success but for meaningful contribution to Nepal's long-term development. The challenge is that today's information environment rarely supports that kind of connection. It tends to offer two extremes. One path immerses people in cycles of outrage and reactive content. The other gradually disconnects them from their cultural identity altogether. Very little exists between those two poles. The algorithm does not optimize for meaningful connection. It optimizes for engagement, and engagement rewards emotional intensity over practical contribution. The algorithm audit changed my own information environment. After deliberately reducing reactive, political, and viral content, I noticed something unexpected. It was not only my feed that changed, it was how I showed up in conversations. I still care deeply about Nepal. I still hold strong opinions. I still have a blueprint I believe in, not centered on any single leader or party, but on communities identifying their own problems and shaping solutions from the ground up, like small streams forming a river, not the other way around. But I found myself becoming less interested in reacting to each political development, more interested in analyzing underlying systems, long term trends, and practical solutions. When conversations repeatedly returned to familiar cycles of outrage, I became more comfortable stepping back than joining in. That surprised me. The algorithm had not only influenced what I consumed, it had subtly shaped how I participated within my own community. Changing the feed changed how I showed up in the room. That connection between digital inputs and offline social behavior was one of the most unexpected observations to emerge from this audit. Research on transnational identity confirms that diaspora communities maintain simultaneous psychological connections to both their country of origin and their country of residence. That dual attachment is not a weakness. It can be a significant personal and professional asset. But research on cognitive load shows that navigating multiple cultural and political environments simultaneously places significant demands on mental bandwidth. When those resources are dominated by reactive information rather than meaningful engagement, dual identity becomes cognitively demanding rather than empowering. An emerging work on attention and decision making suggests that where attention is repeatedly directed influences where energy, learning, and long-term decisions are invested. The algorithm does not evaluate whether those investments serve your future. It simply responds to engagement signals. The result is an information environment that may reinforce the very gap it did not intend to create. So the question is not whether diaspora professionals should remain connected to home. The question is what kind of connection creates value. Does the information strengthen understanding? Does it improve capability? Does it increase the likelihood of meaningful contribution? Or does it simply keep attention cycling through familiar emotional patterns? That distinction is the one the algorithm will never make for you. You have to make it yourself. Interestingly, within our pilot cohort, participants who reported the highest levels of home country content consumption on day one were also among those who did not complete the 7-day study. This observation is far from conclusive. Many factors could explain that outcome, but it is another pattern worth documenting. Interesting pattern, not proof. A pattern worth investigating further. The algorithm audit beta is still open. A 7-day field study measuring exactly where your cognitive capital goes before it reaches anything that matters. The day one baseline takes 10 minutes. If you have ever felt caught between the country you came from and the future you are building, you already know what we're measuring. The link is in the description because you cannot serve two futures simultaneously on a feed designed to keep you reacting to only one of them.